Hi, I'm Lyli, one of Arturia's in-house sound designers, and I'm going to take you on a little tour of our new filter collection with 3 filters that you'll actually use. I say this because a lot of focus has been placed on the sound quality so that you have filters that you can use for all of your studio and live needs, and on smooth ergonomics. So, what's a filter? A filter is an audio effect that either cuts or emphasizes a part of a signal. It's widely used in telecommunications and electronics, but it's a crucial part of audio and audio processing. A filter is usually characterized by its slope, which is in decibels per octave, and it is essential in producing music, mixing, or even messing around with sound. A few useful things that you can do with your filter are removing unwanted parts of your signal in the high or low frequencies, for example, or denaturing the sound by adding movement and modulation, or even just changing the tone and color and timbre of your sound. So here are the basics. First off, remember that a filter is an audio effect, and it's not standalone, so it needs to be inserted on an audio or instrument track and needs a sound source. Here's the window of the mini filter. A good place to start is by resizing the window. Here you can browse the presets by clicking on the arrows left and right. You can choose from different types of presets, which are categorized and adapted to the sound source type. So here's the mini filter. Based on the legendary analog filter from Dr. Bob Moog's classic 70s monosynth, mini filter can transform your instruments and add an exciting dynamic element to your music. Mini filter can alter the tone of any instrument in a musical way. Let's start with the controls. The cutoff knob controls the frequency at which the filter starts to operate. If set to 500 Hz, everything below this frequency will remain as it is, and everything above will be cut. Let's try to do a simple sweep with the cutoff. Next we have emphasis. Often referred to as resonance, the emphasis knob controls the amount of boost at the edge of the cutoff frequency. This adds a lot of character to filter sweeps. The drive knob lets you control the input gain of the signal, and high values will result in clipping. Next is dry-wet. The dry-wet parameter helps to blend in the dry signal with the filtered signal. It's especially useful when using high emphasis values, as keeping a part of your original signal tends to reduce the harshness of the sound. Mini filter has 3 different modulation sources that can be used to dynamically automate a wide set of parameters. This built-in step sequencer allows for an automation lane of 3 parameters at once. Here, the step sequencer is controlling the cutoff frequency, giving movement and groove to an otherwise flat chord progression. The envelope follower section tracks the level of the incoming signal and uses it as a modulation source. Here, the envelope follower is assigned to the cutoff frequency, opening it along with the incoming peaks. This emphasizes the kick and snare and gives a rubbery texture to the sound. Here's the LFO. The integrated low-frequency oscillator allows us to modulate a parameter with 5 different waveforms, a wide rate range going from slow to audio range. Just like on the 2 other filters in the collection, the SEM filter features control over the cutoff frequency, the resonance, and a dry-wet mix of the signal. The mode knob is where this filter really stands out. It allows for a continuous switch between low pass, notch, and finally high pass. When sweeped, this gives a peculiar morphing effect. Here's the input noise knob. The SEM filter also includes a noise source with which we can achieve very interesting results when combined with the filter and resonance. Here we have a very nice clean guitar chord progression going on. Increasing the input noise level will blend in some white noise along the source, giving a very nice vintage effect. The soft clip feature allows us to clip the incoming signal, which brings some additional warmth, like on analog output stages. It can be used either to add subtle coloring or on higher input gain values to completely distort the signal. Here we have this rather dry drum loop that we're going to gradually distort. And of course, you have the ability to bring in a dry portion of the signal for a softer result. The gate sequencer is used to send trigger messages to the 2 other modulation sources. This basically means it tells them when to play. When a step is lit, it will trigger the associated modulation source, which is either the LFO or the envelope. In this example, the envelope is off for the first 4 steps, then on for the next, then off, then back on. The envelope is pretty standard, with an attack, decay, and hold time setting. It is triggered each time a step of the gate sequencer is enabled, so it's very useful to add rhythmic elements to static sounds. Let's reduce the cutoff frequency first and add some envelope modulation to this. What was a flat and sustained sound before now changed into something with a lot more groove. Like on the mini filter, the integrated LFO has a wide range, allowing for slow modulation up to FM-like effects. The added smooth parameter softens the slope of the waveform. Here we hear it gradually turning a square shape into something much smoother and bouncier, closer to a triangle shape. The modulations are managed using a small and handy modulation matrix below. Each row corresponds to 1 modulation source, and each column corresponds to 1 modulation destination. This matrix allows for some very complex modulations. Study the examples, study the presets, and let your imagination fly. And finally, we have the M12 filter. Released in 1985, the Oberheim Matrix 12 included an impressive number of 15 different filter modes, along with very deep modulation possibilities. Its unique multi-feature allowed for precise blending and carving of those tones. The M12 filter from Arturia extracts some of the DNA of the original machine, making it an exciting filtering powerhouse, with lots of modulation possibilities. As indicated by the interface, there are not only one, but two instances of filters. On top of the existing controls such as cutoff, resonance, output volume, and dry-wet control, the added master cutoff allows to control the two cutoff frequencies of both filters at the same time. To select the filter mode, click in the Filter Mode value field. The different modes will open up as a pop-up window inside the plugin. It shows all 15 of the Matrix 12 Filter V modes. They range from common shapes to more unusual setups like combinations of low-pass and high-pass filters. The two filters you have at your disposal can be routed in several different settings, so you can use either one of them individually or combine them in series or in parallel. This allows for creating even more filter shapes, such as vocal filters. Three fully editable function generators are available as modulation sources. These functions are sort of a cross between an LFO, a step sequencer, and an envelope, and are capable of any of those behaviors depending on the settings you select. Cleverly combining the three can lead to pretty complex results, adding a lot of movement to any kind of source. A quick way to learn about them is to experiment with the preset templates included with Matrix 12 Filter V. These presets are also a great starting point for experimentation, and any changes you make to the function generator settings will be stored with your preset when you use the save function. The random module generates random values that can be routed through the modulation matrix to any destination. The rate knob controls the length of time between the random events. It's a great way to turn a sustained sound into something ever-changing. Along with the random module, the M12 filter features a modulation oscillator, which has control over its own waveform and rate. It's used to modulate parameters at rates going from very slow to extremely fast, and can allow for very peculiar effects on the sound. The modulation system is very similar to the one found on the SEM filter. Each row corresponds to one modulation source, and each column corresponds to one modulation destination. Clicking and dragging your mouse on one of the slots allows you to control the amount of modulation. The main difference is that the modulation destinations are not fixed, meaning you get to decide precisely which parameter you want to modulate. To select a destination, simply click on one of the 8 modulation destination slots and select the one you wish to modulate. We hope that you enjoyed this guided tour of our 3 filters. If you want to know more or you want to try them out, even the demo, you can visit arturia.com. Thank you.